Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me today. This is the third crowdfunding roundup for February 2024, and in today's video we're going to take a look at my picks from everything that launched between February the 14th and the 20th. And I have 5 different campaigns that I'd like to share with you today. 3 of them are on Gamefound, 2 are on Kickstarter. If I get through this video fairly quickly, it'll be a shorter video. You should note that, as always, my videos are bookmarked or tabbed. So if you don't have time to watch everything, you can scroll over the play bar, find the content you need, go right to that, and watch that part of the video. There are also links to all of the campaigns down in the description section. So if something grabs you, you can go down into that section, click on the link, and it will take you right to the campaign. And finally, the best way to support the channel is still to like and subscribe. I really appreciate anyone who does that, and it will definitely help me as I work towards launching more content, including revamped teach and review videos and live streams, which I hope to get up and running in the coming months. Without any further ado, let's get started looking at our first campaign for the week. It is for Black Wars Rebirth. We're going to start on Gamefound, and this is actually a campaign for Ludus Magnus Studio to sell off the remaining stock from previous campaigns, which means we can go over here and look at the game because it's already been delivered in 2023. It's got an 8.5 score, which is pretty darn good, and the complexity rating is at a 3.58. I say anything over a 3.33 is heavy. So, before you get into this, just know that if you decide to back this game or acquire this game, this is definitely a game of heavy complexity. It is a competitive campaign game with deck building and variable player powers. It's co-designed by Andrea Coletti and Diego Fonseca. They are sort of in-house designers for Ludus Magnus Studio, and they've worked on a lot of their games. Andrea Coletti, most famously, has worked on Nova Edis and Sin Tempore, and Diego Fonseca has worked on Dungeonology: The Expedition. Marco Montanaro is the third co-designer, but he's really only worked on Black Rose Wars stuff, so there's not other credits for me to tell you about. And as far as Ludus Magnus Studio goes, they've made those games that I just mentioned, Nova Edis, Sin Tempore, and Dungeonology: The Expedition, as well as a game called DEI Divide et Impera. Now, if we look back at the campaign over here, we can see that there are $147,000 in funding. That was off of a very small funding goal of about $1,100. And the reason that goal was so small is because this is a campaign just for them to sell off the remaining stock. So they didn't really need to do anything to produce this. These items are already sitting there in a warehouse just waiting for the campaign to end, for backers to back, and for Ludus Magnus to send them away, on their way to anyone who wants to get a copy of this, the remaining copies that are left here. That does mean, though, they have the highest multiplier of the video. They've got currently about 135 times their funding goal. But it's something that they wouldn't have been able to achieve unless they were just running a campaign where they're selling off old stock. If we look at the backside of this title card, we'll see that the campaign is going to run until March 8th. And all of the games that we're talking about today, everything launched on Tuesday of last week on February 20th. There is a video. We're going to take a look at the video. It'll give you a little bit of a look at the game. It's about 1 minute, and then we're going to come back and look at really the only pledge that you need to concern yourself with, because they are just selling off kind of all-in pledges, whatever's left. So let's take a look at this video, and then we'll go ahead and look at that pledge.
I'm a setting sun, but I'll never run. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man walking. Before I die.
Now, I wouldn't put Ludus Magnus in the same category as Simon or even Awakened Realms, but they are up there in terms of publishers who make a lot of these, big miniatures games. The other thing that's kind of interesting about them is all of their games are linked by the lore. So if you own their games, if you play a bunch of their different games, you will see story elements that reappear throughout their games. A lot of their games are set in different time periods. So, something will happen in one game and then other games will have it'll be built into the lore, and there'll be stuff that you'll recognize from those previous games. It's a really cool idea, but I don't know if they're popular enough that those connections, those links, really get communicated. But it is neat. It's a neat idea. So in terms of pledging this one, there are 3 different rewards, and they're going to be specifically for wherever you are in the world. So I usually make my videos with the continental US in mind, and so that's always the shipping rates that I quote. If you are anywhere else in the world, you need to adjust the shipping accordingly for your area. But in this case, you actually need to make sure that you're pledging the right pledge. So all 3 of these are the same content. They're just in different hubs waiting, ready to go. So if you are in North America, you want to make sure that you pledge for the North America hub. There's also one for Asia, Oceania, and New Zealand, and then there's one for Europe. And the prices are all the same. You just want to make sure you pledge the one that's for your area. So we're looking here at a $442 pledge with $70 of shipping. That's $512 total. And that's just going to get you what is essentially an all-in. There's not the ability in this campaign to mix and match with a lot of add-ons, since they're just trying to sell off their old stock, their old all-in pledges. So if you click on this, you're just going to see everything that's included in this. And that's it. They do have an add-on section over here, but the only thing available is this dual version. So this is essentially a 2-player version of Black Wars Rebirth that you can play like a dual game with another player. It says, discover a magical world of forbidden spells and deadly evocations where every 10 years different mages compete to decide who will be the next Grand Magister. And they talk about 2 mages clash in the cramped underground rooms of a Templar stronghold. So it's just a duel game that's set within the world of Black Rose Wars Rebirth. And this is an add-on for $43, and this is not something that you're going to find elsewhere in the campaign. It's not included in those pledges. So if you do want this kind of standalone duel game, you will need to add it on. Other than that, the only thing of note really is that it's going to deliver very soon in April 2024, because as I've already said, these are sitting in a warehouse ready, waiting to go. So once this campaign finishes, they will be shipping these things out fairly quickly within the next month or 2. All right, that brings us to our second campaign for the week. This one is called Dante Inferno. And this is the first of 2 games that are called Inferno this period. And as we can see here, that they have so far acquired almost $1.4 million in funding. And that's off of a $50,000 funding goal. So this is the most funded game of this period. I think part of the reason for that is that it's being published by Creative Games Studio, who is the publisher for Chronicles of Drunagor, which has been a very, very successful dungeon crawl over the last couple of years. There's been a couple of different campaigns for it. I think it started on Kickstarter, and then they did a sequel campaign on Gamefound. But there's been a couple different campaigns, but that's really their only published game. It's just been so successful, and it's so well rated. So this was the original game called Age of Darkness. It's got an 8.4 rating right now. It's a 3.28, which is just under the line of being a heavy game. So medium heavy, but at the heavy end of the medium heavy range. And this is just a dungeon crawler that's been very successful for them. Now, one thing to make note of is that Chronicles of Drunagor is designed by Yoriko Cunha Neto, and the new game is by a completely different designer. So it's the same publisher, and you may have a little faith in the publisher if you own or have played Chronicles of Drunagor, but you should just know that it is not the same designer. This is Dante Inferno. The score doesn't really mean anything. This is just people who are probably guessing at the score since the game hasn't been published or released. But the designer here is Mauro Carvalho. And he worked on 2 expansions for Chronicles of Drunagor, and that's it. So he's cut his feet a little bit with Creative Game Studio, but this is his first game that he's designed himself. Now, this is also a campaign game, but instead of being competitive like Black Rose Wars, this is a cooperative game, and the focus here really is on boss battling. There's also mechanics like action retrieval, hand management, and variable player powers. Now, if we go back over here, you can see that this campaign will run until February the 29th. So as it says here, you've got about 4 days left. By the time I actually publish this, get this edited, get it kind of up, it'll probably be 3 days until this campaign ends. So you will have to jump on this from the time you watch this video if this is something that you want to back. But let's go ahead and take a look at the video that they've provided here, and then we'll look at the 3 different pledges that you have to choose from.
They've barred the gate to salvation, so we'll carve a new path to heaven. Only Lucifer can stand in the way of the last crusade.
To the Forbidden Lands. You have lost the true way in life, but you may find it again within this abyss of sorrow if you face the sins of the past. My name is Dante, and I will be your guide. There are 9 circles in Inferno, each one a testament to the magnitude of sin. Meet the souls condemned to these depths, and witness the consequence of that. Your actions will decide your fate, and even change the shape of hell itself.
We will build a pathway to heaven. Interfere with forces beyond comprehension.
So, if we scroll down here to look at the 3 different pledges, the cheapest one is the Explorer Pledge. This is a $99 pledge with $46 in shipping, or $145 total. And this pledge is going to get you the core game, core box, as well as these 2 expansions. Charon's Ferry. Embark on an exclusive journey with Charon's Ferry stretch goal box, unveil new champions, and discover additional features with furniture. As the campaign gains more support, backers will unlock extra content, ensuring an enriched experience for all. So this is essentially their stretch goal box. It's going to be filled with extras from the campaign. And then you've got this Coliseum box, which is described as play Dante Inferno in a different and insane way. This expansion introduces a new game mode, the Infernal Coliseum. So likely what this is doing is just giving you sort of an arena battler, so you can play all those boss fights in an arena setting without the campaign and story element to it. This will just give you kind of a stripped down boss fighter if you want to just go into the Coliseum and fight. From there, the next pledge level is the Crusader Pledge. It's going to add on just one thing, the Character Miniature Pack. So if you're pledging at that Explorer level, you are not getting the Character Miniature Pack, which is going to come with miniatures for all the characters in the box. Let's see how many there are in here. Let's take a look at these. The champions, there's 4 of these, and then there's bosses and minions. So kind of like the important characters, both the baddies and the characters that you're going to be playing. So that's the character miniature pack. It's $89 you saw as an add-on. This pledge is $185 plus $66 in shipping, or $251 total. From there, we've got the all-in called the Eternal Pledge. This is a $399 pledge with $93 in shipping, or $492 total. Now, this is going to throw in everything else, basically. They don't even kind of list it out. They just say all in, right? Eternal Edition. I think the best thing for us to do, if we really want to see this, they do kind of break everything down, which I love it when they do this and show how it's all going to store together. And it looks like they've really kind of thought about this storage-wise. So they've got a good game tray system. I believe it's game trays, yeah. And lids for everything. Because some storage systems don't have lids, and everything might fit in them well, but then as soon as you turn the game on its side, everything spills out. So I really appreciate the fact that game trays often usually uses lids, and the lids are kind of essential. So those are the 3 different pledge levels. But if we want to see what's in that Eternal Pledge, what we want to look at is the section after the add-ons. So right here we list the add-ons. We're going to come back to these. But if we scroll down this, they show the pledges here, and here's where they list what is in everything, okay? So we can see in the Explorer Pledge, you're getting the core box plus these 2 expansions. Charon's Ferry is the stretch goal box, and then Colosseum is that kind of arena. Crusader, as we read before, just adds on the miniature pack. But if you go up to the Eternal Pledge level, you then are getting all of this stuff. Champion Pack Tainted, Champion Pack Pristine, the Environment Miniature Pack, an art book, a neoprene mat, dice pack, metal tokens, deluxe player trays, deluxe terrain, the Eternal Collector box for everything to fit in. The one thing to make note of is Foreteller. Foreteller is not included in any of the pledges. So if you want that foreteller narration, no matter what level you're pledging at, you will need to add it on. But everything else is coming in that Eternal box. And then if we want to look up above and see what those things are, they've got them broken out so you can just add them on if you want specific things. So here's the character miniature pack. That's the one that comes in the Crusader level. It's the one thing that gets added onto that. We already looked at it. It's got the character minis and the boss minis and some of the kind of boss minion minis. But there's also an environment miniature pack. This is only included in the Eternal level, but if you want to add it on, you can. It's $69 as an add-on, and here is a look at what is in the environmental miniatures. So we've got pillars, these palisades, chests, and stairs. And everything's a work in progress, but this is essentially what this is going to look like. And I think they break it down here, yeah. So you're getting 4 of each of the things. 4 small pillars, 4 big pillars, 4 staircases, 4 palisades, 4 chests, and then chapter exclusive miniatures, going to be at least 5. Plus these extra stretch goals, 4 braziers, 2 ballistas, and 2 surprise pole miniatures, with more to be unlocked. So that is the Environment Miniature Pack. $69. The foreteller narration is $15, and as I already said, if you want this, you'll need to add it on to whatever your pledge is. They've got this Dante Poet Champion, which is essentially like a round marker. This was included if you were following the campaign ahead of time. But if you weren't, and you still want it, you can add it on for $10. We've also got deluxe player trays. These are $25 as an add-on. Deluxe terrain, $25 as an add-on. Here's what comes in that, just these deluxe terrain trays. There's a neoprene playmat, $24 as an add-on. Dice pack, just extra dice so you have enough for everyone at the table without having to kind of reach over each other. $19 as an add-on. You can upgrade these coins to metal tokens, $15 as an add-on. There is an art book, which isn't really gameplay related, but if you want to get that, $15 as an add-on. And let me just back it up to these 2 packs, the Tainted Champion Pack and the Pristine Champion Pack. Each of these is $33 as an add-on. And add variety to your campaign with these 4 new exclusive champion auras and their corresponding miniatures. So this is going to get you 4 more characters that you can play, and then all of their accoutrements. So if you plan on playing this a lot and you want extra variability in your game, maybe you want one or both of these packs. But if you don't want to go with the big all-in pledge, you could get some of these things and add it on to one of the lesser pledges. Finally, if we look over here, we can see that this one has a much longer delivery time than Black Rose Wars Rebirth, which is already ready to go and sitting in a warehouse. Creative Game Studio is planning to deliver this one in August of 2025. So it's about a year and a half out. There is some time to wait on this one. Now from there, we're going to go to Kickstarter for our first Kickstarter game. This is for Forgeflame. This one had a funding goal of about $21,500. They're currently at $51,500, which is about 2.5 times that funding goal. And we can see that this campaign will run until March the 14th. Now, this is a game that's designed by Quentin Vernet, who worked on a game called The Last Bottle of Rum. Then he brought on his brother Mark Vernet, and together they designed Taverns and Dragons. They're back together with a third game for Quentin and a second game for Mark. It's called Forgeflame. The artist on this is Nastia Len, and she has worked on Delta, Last Bastion, Quetzal, Taverns and Dragons, which was their previous game, and then the unmatched Tales to Amaze game that delivered fairly recently. That was the sort of standalone unmatched game that brings in cooperative play. So you can play with each other fighting against villains. And it's being published by the Vernet's company, which is called Lord Raccoon Games. Now, this is a deck building game with pick up and deliver. We're going to take a look at the 1-minute video, and then we'll come back and look at the 3 pledges and the add-ons.
Welcome to Forgeflame, a thrilling and fast-paced board game for 1 to 4 players on a quest for glory and riches. Assemble your team of adventurers, balancing their strengths and weaknesses, and delve into the depths of the mine. Gather ores like gold, unbreakable darky rock, or venture deeper to find precious draconite. Craft legendary artifacts at the heart of the almost eternal forge. Shape your strategy throughout the game by upgrading your deck with more powerful cards. Combine the actions and abilities of your adventurers to outpace your rivals. Are you ready to forge your own destiny? Discover Forgeflame now on Kickstarter.
All right.
Welcome to Forgeflame.
Let's stop it before it runs again. Okay, let's go down here and take a look at the 3 different pledges. So the first of these is for the core pledge. It is a $54 pledge with $12 in shipping for $66 total. And as we can see down here, this is going to get you the Forgeflame core game and the Flames and Mystery expansion, which is a Kickstarter exclusive. If we look at the, let's say, components, what's in the box, and if we go down close to the how to play section, it is going to show us, here we go. This is it, right? Yeah, this exclusive expansion for free. So, it's not a huge expansion. It just adds on a couple of new characters. But this is that Flames and Mystery expansion, the Kickstarter exclusive that you'll be getting with the core pledge. So you're just getting this figure, this other figure, which is yet to be revealed, 2 miniatures, and 16 cards that goes along with this. So this is the kind of thing, Kickstarter exclusive. If you eventually find this game out in the wild in retail, it won't include this. This is just an extra for crowdfunders. The next pledge level up here is called the Gameplay Pledge. This is a $65 pledge, also with $12 in shipping, $77 total. And this is going to add on the Shadows Unleashed expansion. So it's adding one more thing onto this. I'm not sure if they show it down here. I don't think they do, but they probably do in an add-on section. So we'll get back to that expansion in a moment. But for now, we're going to continue on and look at the final pledge, which is the all-in pledge. This is a $98 pledge with $14 in shipping, so a little bit more, a couple dollars more than the other pledges, for $112 total. And this is going to add on 2 more things to that gameplay pledge, the Kobolds and Totems miniature set and a playmat set. And here is the add-on section. So this is the Shadows Unleashed expansion. This is the one that is included in the gameplay pledge and the all-in pledge. If you wanted to add this on its own, it is $16, 15 euros or $16. It's kind of like the expansion, the mini expansion that's included with the core pledge that's Kickstarter only. It is a second kind of mini expansion that features 2 new miniatures and 16 cards. So it's just going to give you a little more gameplay. And if we go down a little bit further, there is the Kobolds and Totems miniature set. So this one is included in the all-in, but if you want to add it on, you can do that for $21. This is just going to include some miniatures for things around the board. Some Kobolds, some Totems, and then some tokens. And then the last add-on down here is this playmat set. It is a $27 add-on, and it is a stunning playmat featuring outlined zones for event and artifact cards, ores, and more, and 4 neoprene player boards. So you're going to get 1 big neoprene game board, and then 4 neoprene player boards. All right. And then finally, Forgeflame is shooting to deliver here in January of 2025. From there, we're going to hop back over to Gamefound for the other Inferno-themed game. This one's called Inferno Deluxe Edition. This is from Red Mojo Games. They're currently at $197,000 on this campaign, which is about 9 times their funding goal, $21,500 funding goal. And this campaign is going to run until March the 12th. Now, this is being published by a company that previously did a game called Tindaya, which was very similar to Spirit Island. But that's the one big thing they've done so far. I've heard really good things about Tindaya. I don't know if people would rank it as highly as Spirit Island. Probably not. But I have heard good things about Tindaya. So just like the other Inferno game is from the publisher of Chronicles of Drunagor, which was a huge hit, this is an Inferno game from a publisher who has also done one game that's been fairly well regarded so far. But this one is designed by Fernando Eduardo Sanchez, who has designed a game called Through Ice and Snow. And there's a couple different artists on this. David Benzal, who's worked on Day Night Z, Harakiri Blades of Honor, and Rambo the board game. And Christian Casado Otazu, who's worked on Black Rose Wars Rebirth, which is kind of weird synchronicity since we're also looking at this video, as well as Firefly, the game 10th Anniversary Collector's Edition, and League of Infamy. Now, this one is a worker placement game. It's also got movement points and uses multi-use cards. So it's a little bit different from the other Inferno game that's more of a co-op campaign game. We're going to take a look at the 2-minute video here, and then we'll come back and go over the 3 pledges and some add-ons.
Above the filth rises Florence. The city is thriving, but a disease called sin flows through its alleys like tar. It spreads, infecting everyone with decadence and blasphemy. Beneath the city lies the eternal horror, Inferno. 9 circles to imprison 9 kinds of sinners. Their souls suffer punishment that echoes the gravity of their offenses. On their path, sinners shall cross the river Styx, enter the legendary walls of Dis, and stand before the guardians of each infernal circle. Minos, Medusa, Antaeus, Furion, Cerberus, Minotaur. In pursuit of his beloved Beatrice, Dante bears witness to it all. Flee, my friend. This is no place for the living.
Turn your family into the most infamous in the underworld. Have your nobles unmask sinners and seek their downfall. Guide their souls in a descent through hell to their ultimate fate. In Florence, adopt urchins for the price of a bowl of broth. Get florins at the bank to fund your transgressions. Raise your tower to exhibit your status. Meet the powerful and lure them to your palazzo. Rule in hell by forging dangerous alliances with the Guardians. Score more infamy than your rivals before Dante reaches purgatory.
I met Dante 7 centuries ago, and I still remember our journey. I am not a man. Once I was. My name is Virgil, and my home, Inferno.
It's kind of interesting, right? There's two of these Inferno games, but they are kind of targeting different audiences to some degree. One being a campaign game, the other one being more of a worker placement game. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at these pledges. So the first one is the Inferno Deluxe Edition. This is an $87 pledge, $21 in shipping or $108 total. Maybe $109 really, because we've got some change on that. So let's call it $109 total. And this is just going to get you the deluxe version of the game. There is no standard version. They're starting with the deluxe version, but this is just that deluxe box and nothing else. If you're curious what's in this content-wise, they do list it out. Then moving up to the next pledge level, which is the Sinners Edition. This is a $109 pledge with $21 in shipping or $130 total. That's going to take the previous pledge and then add on to it metal coins, sleeves, and these 2 coin bags. From there, the third and final pledge is the Medusa pledge. This is a $133 pledge with $24 in shipping, $157 total. It's going to take that Sinners pledge and then add on to that a neoprene playmat, which we can see right here, and a soundtrack. And then if you want to kind of piecemeal things together on your own, you don't want everything, they do have an add-on section. Much like that other campaign, there is a Dante miniature here. And as you can see down here, this is a free gift for anyone who was following the campaign before it started. But if that wasn't you and you still want the miniature, you can add it on for $8. You can also get the soundtrack for $3, pretty cheap. There's a metal coin pack here, 56 metal coins, $29 as an add-on. The double-sided neoprene playmat that only comes in the Medusa level is $32 as an add-on. The 2 coin bags, $7 as an add-on, and the premium card sleeves, about $6 as an add-on. And then finally, Inferno Deluxe Edition is being targeted to deliver at the end of this year in December 2024. That brings us to our final campaign for this week, and it feels like this has got a theme behind this video. There were 2 Dante games, there's this Black Rose Wars game, and then we've got Vampire the Masquerade. So a lot of miniatures games, and a lot of them have sort of a dark theme. But this is a game that has existed before and has delivered previously this past year, which means we can go over here and look at it on Board Game Geek. So currently it has a 7.5 rating, which is pretty good. And it's got a complexity of 3.07, which is medium heavy, not quite into the full heavy range. And it plays 1 to 4 players, but the community says it plays best at 2. Now, this is a co-op campaign game. It's got hand management and variable player powers. They're currently funded at $103,000 off of a $74,000 funding goal, which is about 2.5 times that funding goal. And the campaign is going to run until March the 15th. So this is designed by Thomas Felipe, who has worked on a game called Kiwetan, and Gary Patra, who's worked on Until Daylight, Survive Until Daylight, and Werewolf the Apocalypse Retaliation. So we're going to go ahead, take a look at the video here, then we'll come back and look at the 5 pledges and the add-ons.
Vampire the Masquerade Chapters is a widely acclaimed RPG in a box for 1 to 4 players. In this immersive board game, you play as a vampire, confronting ancient threats, once thought buried. Begin your journey by selecting one of the 8 distinct vampire clans available in the base game. Each chapter comes with its own unique narrative booklet, offering branching story interactions and choices. Navigate through Montreal's landmarks and uncover its hidden mysteries. Encounter numerous NPCs and use the dialogue system to achieve your goals, no matter how nefarious. Fight dreadful enemies by using various combat tactics that you gain during your adventure. In chapters, strategy is key. Manage your hunger, maintain the masquerade, level up your character, forge alliances, and decide when to remain discreet or when to openly confront your foes. Your decisions don't just dictate the immediate storyline. They have enduring implications, offering a dynamic and enriching gameplay experience through 50 unique chapters. Dare you step into the dark and take control of your fate. Discover the full adventure in a slick, more affordable format with Chapters Digital Booklets Edition. All narrative and booklets now in a user-friendly free app. Vampire the Masquerade. Chapters.
Okay, so there's two important things to know that they've done with this campaign. One is that they've taken the original campaign, which had a base game and then 4 smaller expansions, and they've pulled it all together. So when they say now that there's 8 characters in the base game, that's because there's 4 from the original base game and then 4 from all of their mini expansions. But you no longer need to pull all those things together, kind of add on the expansions. It's all now being included in the definitive edition. There are some more expansions and some more add-ons and things, but all of the expansions from the original campaign are now in this definitive edition. The other thing that they've done is they have created a somewhat cheaper version if you don't want to get all of the binders and rule books and things that contain all of the scenario stuff. So they've got some digital editions that's not for a digital edition of the game. This isn't a case where they're also trying to sell you on a digital game. They're just giving you digital copies of all of that paper stuff, all of those booklets. That way it's a little bit cheaper. You don't have to deal with the paper weight. So we'll see what that looks like price-wise and how they're doing that as we get down here into the pledges. But the very first pledge is for people who already have the original stuff from the first campaign. It's called an upgrade pack, first edition. This is a $34 pledge with $20 in shipping, or $54 total. And this will upgrade your first edition of the game so that it's current with the new stuff that they've put out. It says it features the upgraded booklets, storybook, rulebook, and some assets from first edition, all offered at the lowest possible price. Now, that isn't the only thing that's new with this campaign, because they did put out this epilogue expansion. This is also new. So if you're only getting this is a $44 pledge, $14 in shipping. It's got $58 total once you've put those two things together. And you should notice that in this upgrade pack, there is no card booster pack. But in the epilogue expansion, you do get the card booster pack. And the card booster pack is in every pledge that follows. But you won't be getting it with the upgrade pack, just so you know that. Then we get to the digital pledge. Now, this is the kind of cheapest pledge with most of the game included. So this is a $74 pledge. It's got $24 in shipping, $98 total. And what they say here is experience the definitive edition of Vampire the Masquerade chapters with the digital version. This option lets you enjoy the board game narrative through the companion app, providing a seamless and budget-friendly experience. So they're just giving you some of that stuff in a digital form so you don't have all of that paperwork, which is also going to save you on shipping. If we go down a little bit further, well, here's that booster pack. Just if you're looking at it, they're kind of slowly revealing it, and stretch goals and things like that. But here's a look at that digital pledge. You're still getting all of the stuff, all of the components and things. You're just not getting all of the rule books. A lot of it is condensed into the digital form. So here's the deluxe. This is with everything physical. $185 pledge, $26 in shipping, $211 total. This will get you the definitive version of the game, which now includes all of the 4 previous mini expansions. It's also going to include that cards booster pack, and it's going to include the main encounter miniatures, which you wouldn't be getting otherwise. Like, you won't be getting that. I don't think that comes with the digital version. No. So if you are doing the digital version and you want those miniatures, you will need to add them on. And then the final pledge here is the all-in. This is a $289 pledge with $30 in shipping, $319 total. This is going to add in the epilogue expansion. So it's everything that was in the deluxe version, plus the epilogue expansion, plus the NPC miniatures, metal boons, metal dice, and card sleeves. And I don't think that they actually do have an add-on section over here. But if we go into the details, I believe they kind of list out what you can add on. So you'd have to hunt for it over here. So here are the add-ons. The Cards Booster Pack, which you probably won't need to add on unless you're just getting the update pack, but it is included with all of the other pledges. But if you wanted to add it on, it's $15. The card sleeves as an add-on are $22. The metal boons as an add-on are $29. Metal coin upgrade. The epilogue expansion, the digital version, is $29 as an add-on. So with this version, if you're adding this on, it's like we were talking about with the base game, where you're going to be getting a pared back version of the epilogue because it won't include all of the scenario books and rule books and stuff like that. You'll just be getting a digital version. If you want the deluxe version, you want to add on this one here. This is $44. And this is the same one that the second pledge is for. Similar to that, they have, I'm going to jump around a little bit, they have the digital version of the game itself, if you want to add that on for $74, or the deluxe version of the game itself for $185. Then they've got the 2 miniature packs that aren't included with these. The main encounter miniatures are $37. The NPC miniatures are $37. The upgrade pack, if you have the old first edition, you want to add this on, $34. And finally, the metal dice are a $37 add-on. And then finally, Vampire the Masquerade Chapters Definitive Edition is shooting to deliver currently in December of 2024. So that wraps the video for this week. There's one campaign I decided not to talk about, which was the new Button Shy campaign. And the reason I didn't include it with the rest of the video is that there aren't any new games being offered in that campaign. But I am going to link it down below in the description section, so if it's something that you want to take a look at, you can still click on the link and it will take you right to that page. I like Button Shy games. I think they do a good job making these kind of smaller wallet-sized card games, but I did opt not to include it just because there are no new games currently featured in that campaign. They're just offering reprints of older games. Apart from that, have a great week. I hope you're getting the chance to play lots of great games. I'll be back in another week with a new video, the 4th and final crowdfunding roundup for February 2024. So come back, join me then. We'll watch some videos together, look at some campaigns, the pledges, the add-ons, the same thing we always do. And until then, take care of yourself, and I will see you very soon in the next one.